Here we go. What is going on, Cover One Crew? Welcome back to the show. Hope everybody's doing good. Y'all know why we're here. Week number 11 starts it. Lineup advice, man. It is getting sticky out here. We got to get those dubs as the fantasy football playoffs will be approaching that much quicker. After this week, I believe there's only 4 weeks left of the fantasy regular season, so we got to get those wins, baby. And I got you covered down the stretch, man. Go check out our friends before we get started at OptimusFantasy.com. Use promo code COVER1 when you sign up for their packages, and you will get 70% off a gold jacket package. Also, don't forget, if you are a film junkie and want to learn the game, man, go check out cover1.net for Cover One One Pass membership, club access only, back door to Discord channels, including a fantasy channel of yours truly as well. Go to cover1.net, sign up today if you want some education. I'm telling y'all, these guys will hook you up in the right way for film study. But bye-week troubles here in week number 11, nothing too daunting, man. We got the Colts and the Saints, so the biggest problem is no Jonathan Taylor we got to contend with, so that's the biggest issue that we do have. But at least with only 2 players down, or 2 teams down, I should say, we still got a lot of players that we got to discuss, and there is some changing, dynamics so far this week. So let's start off. You guys know the drill. Rapid fire. Every team, every player. Let's go. Arizona Cardinals taking on the San Francisco 49ers. Jacoby Brissett, baby, he had a terrible show last week to those Seattle Seahawks. Bounce back on the mid-level risk, taking on the 49ers defense that has seen better days. You can see how they played versus those LA Rams last week. They are missing a stud Warner, Fred Warner in the linebacker position big time. And I do think that there is potential opportunity for these Cardinals to have a decent day. Not a great day because they will be without Marvin Harrison Jr. He's dealing with an appendicitis. He had surgery, so he's out this week. Could be also out next week as well. So they're going to have all hands on deck. Who's the biggest beneficiary this week for the Marvin Harrison Jr. absence will be Michael Wilson. He's not necessarily the greatest wide receiver out there, but target share upside is definitely on point, man. If you got Wilson off the waiver wire in terms of getting at least mass targets, this is the opportunity that we could have versus these 49ers. So Jacoby Brissett bounce back only if you require a quarterback. There are better options this week. We're Bam Knight and a Demercado, low floor for Bam. We're Demercado mid-level risk. They're starting to lean towards a Demercado over Bam Knight at this point. I don't dislike Demercado overnight. We're Michael Wilson, like I'm saying, target upside, definitely playing him just in terms of that alone. We could see some garbage time productivity as well, where Greg Dortch finds his way back on the board. You're looking for a flex appeal in full PPR leagues. He would definitely be one I'm looking at this week. PPR upside would be out the wazoo, where Trey McBride, low-level risk, outside of a Michael Wilson. Trey McBride should get peppered in a big way and repay us handsomely this week as well. The Atlanta Falcons take on the Carolina Panthers. Michael Penix Jr. coming off the over-the-seas game up in Germany. They played okay. They played good, and they made some point totals. Good upside for these Falcons, or for Michael Penix and these Falcons this week versus Carolina Panthers. No way in hell these Atlanta Falcons lose 2 games in a row this season, or 2 games to the Carolina Panthers this season. I just don't see it, man. This is going to be definitely a game that Atlanta needs to win in a big way after dropping multiple contests in a row. This is not good news for them, but they are still on that ground floor retooling, rebuilding stage. They're not quite there yet. They're to be a playoff contender, in my opinion, but you still got lots of great pieces with Bijan, with Drake London, etc. They are moving in the right direction. Good upside in the green for Michael Penix Jr. I do like the play of him this week as well. Bijan, you want to see a little bit more from Bijan. The last several weeks have not been great. 7 boom games, still 158 points. We fire up Bijan everywhere we got him. It's because of Tyler Algier. They're saying he's apparently one of the greatest superstars on the club that nobody talks about. Fine. He does well. I mean, when he's given the opportunity, he makes a lot of plays. Mid-level risk for Algier, as they should get back to Bijan this week. But if this game does get out of hand, Algier will have his touches. Flex appeal is here for a Tyler Algier. Drake London popped up on the injury report only due to an illness. He should be good to go. Fire him up everywhere you got him. Low-level risk. Where Darnell Mooney, full Mooney. He is not full Mooney nothing. This guy can't catch anything to come his direction at this point. High-level risk, not trusting it. Casey Washington, afterthought, not touching it. We're Kyle Pitts. This is the contest you want to see, man, especially if Drake London is feeling under the weather. Kyle Pitts needs to be, having more target upside. I got him on the mid-level risk, but I do like the play of Kyle Pitts this week. There could be a boom game coming. Baltimore Ravens taking on the Cleveland Brownies. Lamar Jackson good to go. Low-level risk. Fire him up. They're 4-5, and they're vying to jump into the top spot of this division, and their playoff hopes continue to move in the right direction. They are winning again. They are looking good, and they are getting healthier, and that is a big thing for these Ravens. Fire up Lamar everywhere he got him. Derrick King Henry's been a big problem for us this season. But as they go down the stretch, you got to believe the more volume is going to come to his side. No Justice Hill this week. No Rashad Bateman. Both ruled out, toe and ankle injuries respectively. But King Henry, I'm going to give him the volume upside. Not necessarily a low-level risk this week versus the Browns defense that is strong. I'm just going to give him the volume upside. Still playable. Hopefully we get 12 to 15, if not higher this week. But it could be a stretch, man. Hopefully he does, pick up steam in that fourth quarter like he has. But they haven't thrown the football a lot more with a Lamar Jackson thinking, trying to shake off that rust continues. But you got to get back to the ground and pound. King Henry needs to be, given more opportunity to get us those points. Zay Flowers last week said low-level risk. This week again, I will continue down that path. Fire him up everywhere we got him on the low-level risk. 5 boom games for Zay. He had a good game last week. Should continue once again. Now without Bateman. So who's going to pick up the steam? Tylan Wallace, DeAndre Hopkins, D-Hop. I'm not playing either one of these guys. High-level risk for Tylan Wallace. Target floor on the red for D-Hop. Don't like it. TD upside maybe here. But the Browns defense still very good. Even though they dropped that contest to the New York Jets last week, you got to feel a bounce back is coming. That defense is far too strong to, just pack it in completely. Where Mark Andrews, low-level risk, fire him up. His season has definitely turned a corner once again. We can play Andrews, and it's coming at the expense of Isaiah Likely. We still cannot play him until further notice. Buffalo Bills, Bills Mafia, my Bills, taking on Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Josh Allen and company dropping a horrific show last week to those Miami Dolphins. I don't know what the hell they were doing. Was it a trap game? Maybe coming off the KC victory and then looking ahead to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It always does happen in this sense, man. The teams, they do overlook teams that they think that they can just walk through, and the Miami Dolphins definitely were prepared this week. I fully expect the Bills to get back on track in a big way because Bills Mafia is screaming for blood, man, in that front office right now. Josh Allen, fire him up everywhere he got him. Low-level risk, 8 boom games for him, even though he didn't play very well, still got his 20-point spot last week. Josh Allen is that dude. James Cook, heavy running should transpire this week as well. Like I said last week, see a regression from James, and that's definitely what did happen. Fumbles didn't help the cause as well. They should bounce back versus the Buccaneers, man. Keon Coleman, low floor. Even though I called him a sleeper last week, got you 12 points. It was a very much not a great 12 points because you were like, where the hell is this guy? Very lackadaisical, lazy routes on the field. He's got to be more of a dominating force. I'm not sure what's going on with Keon right now, but I'm definitely worried. Low floor on the mid-level where Khalil Shakir was dealing with an injury. He's off the injury report right now. Mid-level risk, fire him up. If you have options better than him, I would take them. But, at least the floor is safe enough for about 8 points. Now without Dalton Kincaid, we should get up to at least 12 to 15 for a Khalil Shakir. Josh Palmer makes his way back, but I'm going to put him down as a boomer bust in the red. Not trusting it for fantasy outside of deeper leagues. And Elijah Moore, high-level risk continues. But Dawson Knox without a Dalton Kincaid. He's out with a hamstring injury. TD upside in the green is here. Dawson Knox is a good quality tight end, man. If they didn't have a Dalton Kincaid, I think Knox would have been just fine in this offense. The only thing that, Knox doesn't have that Kincaid does, that kind of wide receiver-esque type of play. So Dawson Knox, if you're looking for a tight end, he's a good streaming option for me this week as well with the TD upside. Carolina Panthers taking on the Atlanta Falcons. Bryce Young and company, they did not look great last week, and a bounce back could be coming versus these Atlanta Falcons. I think, a better show definitely for this offense this week as well. But I think the Atlanta Falcons defense definitely needs to, perform at higher end levels. Yes, you were playing Jonathan Taylor last week, so you can't fault you, but you got Rico Dowdle this week. Low-level risk, fire up Rico everywhere we got him. He's been killing it off that waiver wire for us when we did pick him up, and that should continue. Again, Bryce Young, not trusting it, mid-level risk. Chuba Hubbard, low floor, mid-level. His role has definitely been taken over by Rico, just playing better football, man. Rico's running the football like a bat out of hell. I'm going to sit Chuba this week. Where Tet McMillan, mid-level risk for me. Wide receiver, low-end wide receiver 2, maybe high-end wide receiver 3 numbers. His problem is he's just not getting into that end zone. If he was scoring touchdowns, we would be having a different conversation about Tet with higher levels of confidence. Still like the play this week as well. He can get behind even the better corners in this league. It's just, can Bryce Young feed him on the regular? That's still the problem. Mid-level risk for Tet. I do like the play if you have to. If you have better options, perhaps exercise them. But, his floor has been relatively safe around that 9-10 point threshold. Xavier Legette, mid-level risk, bump up for me because they will have a lot of dedication to a Tet McMillan. There is PPR upside for Xavier Legette this week. Where Jalen Coker, high-level risk. Likewise with Tavion Sanders, high-level risk. We are not touching it again this week in week number 11. Chicago Bears taking on the Minnesota Vikings. Huge divisional contest for both these clubs as Minnesota's trying to continue to stay pat in this division, where the Bears, they are shooting to get into first place, man. This is what I've been saying about these Chicago Bears. You had to wait about till the midway point of the season to kind of digest and ingest what this team really is. And with Ben Johnson, you knew that they were going to figure this thing out. They're just far too talented. They got far too many good pieces. It's still one of these teams where they're good enough to beat all the, lower-end, mid-level teams, but are they good enough to beat the top-end teams? I don't think they're quite there yet at this point, but they are making moves in the right direction. Caleb Williams, for fantasy purposes alone, he's been crushing it, man. We could fire him up low-level risk versus the Vikings defense that will bring the blitz. There is no question, but I think the way that Caleb has been playing, we can play him and trust him in fantasy football. DeAndre Swift and a Kyle Monangai, where this running game going is how it is operating, just like it did in Detroit with a Gibby and Monty show. It is Swift and Monangai. I got to come up with a nickname for these two gentlemen as well. But DeAndre Swift, good upside in the green. This guy's been having a very good season, very strong season, and not enough people are giving him enough credit for it. Good upside in the green, 6 boom games. Fire up DeAndre everywhere he got him. Where Kyle Monangai, mid-level risk once again for me this week. There is always the TD upside where they will give, carries to, on the goal line upside, but what I'm saying is, what's the word I'm looking for? Where they split series, that's what I'm looking for right there, and that's going to continue in this Chicago Bears backfield as well. Swift will get his series, Monangai will get his series, and then goal line upside to Monangai definitely does exist as well, but DeAndre Swift over Monangai for me this week as well, but a tough, hard-nosed running definitely will be here from Monangai. DJ Moore, what I say last week, I said, I just put him on the bench this week because he had a good blow-up game because DeAndre Swift wasn't in the contest. He gave us 0 points. So at least that worked out in their benefit if you benched him. This week, coming back on the mid-level risk, I don't dislike the play, but I do think it is a lower floor once again. 5 to 6 points at low and, maybe 10 to 15 on the high for a DJ Moore. He's got to find his way in the end zone, got to find more PPR upside, but you could understand, man, there was a dedication to get Rome Odunze the ball in bunches last week, and it came at the expense of DJ Moore. I think that gets rectified this week where there is a little bit more 50-50, where Rome Odunze, good upside in the green, fire him up everywhere he got him. Hopefully it does continue, as the Vikings' pass secondary is stingy at times, but there is holes that they could get, passes through from Caleb Williams. Or Colston Loveland, Cole Kmet. Obviously, Loveland is starting to take a couple of leaps forward in this good direction. Mid-level risk for me, firing him up over a Cole Kmet all day long. Cincinnati Bengals taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers. Joe Flacco, baby, coming against these Pittsburgh Steelers defense that looked very good last week as well, much better than they have for majority of the season. Flacco still dealing with a shoulder injury. Still, he's playing this week. Fire him up on the low-level risk, man. Doesn't matter who he's playing. He's slinging that football, and he's playing decent enough to give us high-end point totals in fantasy. I do like the play this week of a Joe Flacco. Chase Brown, mid-level risk, a little bit of a downgrade. PPR upside should be here. Safer floor, but high-end upside outside of scoring touchdowns. I really do caution, and it is a concern for me. Don't dislike the play, but you got to temper those expectations. Where Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, low-level risk for Jamar, target floor in the green for a T. Higgins. He just seems to be, 4 targets, catching touchdowns, and giving us decent point totals. So T. Higgins, I do like. Jamar Chase, I absolutely like firing up this week. Where Andre Iosivas, high-level risk for me. It's just far too hard to trust outside of 14 and 16 team leagues. Can't trust it in 12 and 10s whatsoever. We're Noah Fantini dependency on the mid-level risk. You're looking for a tight end. He is not a bad one this week as well. Should at least see a sprinkle of targets inside that red zone. Cleveland Brownies taking on the Baltimore Ravens. Dylan Gabriel, high-level risk, never touching it, won't touch it, don't want it because it just does not bear fruit, and I will not do it. Even though he did have a boom game last week, it's just far too volatile for me. I will not trust Dylan Gabriel until further notice. But Q Judkins even though these Baltimore Ravens are getting healthier on the weekly, especially on the defensive side, volume upside in the green for Judkins. He's been kind of, hampered with that injury, even though he has been off the injury report. It's affecting his game. When you watch him play, he's definitely not 100%, but this week, volume upside, they're going to give the Ravens a run for their money. All division games that they do play typically do go in the part of a very strong battle in the AFC North. So I do expect a good show from the Cleveland Browns. I don't necessarily fully expect a full blowout, but Judkins should at least get volume upside in the green, where Dylan Sampson's been an afterthought. And Jerry Jeudy, I know a lot of y'all asking questions on Jeudy, mid-level risk for me this week, coming off his first boom of the season. I'm not trusting Jeudy versus the Ravens, even though there is potential. I think we can always get better options, man. 16 points last week for Jeudy was good, but we don't see it near enough to trust it. But you know what it was? Because Cedric Tillman's back. So a lot of coverage is getting pulled to Tillman's side, and there is potential. That's why I got a mid-level on a Jerry Jeudy this week once again. I'm just not trusting it to high-end degrees. Where Cedric Tillman, target floor in the red until he gets his football legs back. He's not going to be startable for me. Jamari Thrash, likewise, has not been playable. Where Harold Fannin, only Fannins, low-level risk, fire him up if we got him. 73 points, man. I told y'all last week it was Njoku day. This week it's going to be Fannin. I do have that feeling, but Njoku, mid-level risk. We can still play both these tight ends as they are the safety blanket for a Dillon Gabriel. Dallas Cowboys coming off the bye week, taking on the Las Vegas Raiders on Monday Night Football. This could be a terrible show, or we could see a lot of fireworks. I don't think there's any in between, man. We've seen some really crappy football this past week where the scores were really, terrible and not much play outside of really strong defense. That's a nice sight to see, but you do want to see some fantasy point totals. Dak Prescott and company coming off the death. Rest in peace to their teammate. Awful story. So I do feel like they're going to come out swinging this week as well. Dak Prescott, low-level risk. Fire him up everywhere he got him. Where Javonte Williams, I believe before the bye week, he had a bust game. He's going to rectify that versus these Raiders, who aren't playing for much anyway. 2-7. Their season's basically a wrap. So Vontae, fire him up. We're Jaden Blue, the blueprint, not touching it. CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens, low-level risk. Fired up both these gentlemen. Pickens been absolutely stellar, even with CeeDee Lamb back. 8 boom games, man. The only bust he had was in the week number 1. Love me some George Pickens this week as well, where CeeDee Lamb continues his pace moving up since he came back from his injury. We can trust both these gentlemen. Where Jake Ferguson, TD upside, mid-level risk, kind of been up and down the past several weeks, but it's still good enough for tight end upside, especially in top 10 appeal. Denver Broncos take on the Kansas City Chiefs. Huge contest in the AFC West. I'm really looking forward to this one. See what these Denver Broncos can do. 8-2 Broncos could put a big-time nail in the hearts of the Kansas City Chiefs and their potential playoff push as well. Bo Nix and this offense definitely has been struggling up and down, up and down. They make plays, then they look really porous, and they're not, consistent at this point. J.K. Dobbins still dealing with that foot injury. Got him on the questionable. I do not foresee him playing this week. I did this show before they ruled him out, so I will update everybody in the comments to the injuries as they do come out. But I just don't foresee it, man. They were flirting with the idea of placing him on injured reserve. He was going for a second opinion, but Bo Nix, mid-level risk. I digress. We play Bo Nix this week. I do believe this should bring out the best in Bo. It's a very big contest. We'll see what Bo is made of. I don't dislike the play, but on the mid-level risk. RJ Harvey, low-level risk. He's good on the outside. He's good in the PPR game. We'll see if they'll be able to rush up the middle versus Kansas City Chiefs defense. That still is quite decent at, defensive front against the run. So I don't dislike that, but they will get and manufacture ways to get RJ the ball, fire him up if we got him, especially without a J.K. Dobbins, where Tyler Beatty is going to be the guy likely behind him with a Jaleel McLaughlin. So they'll ride the hot hand for the secondary back in this offense. We can't trust it. RJ is the only one I'm trusting from this backfield this week. Where Cortland Sutton, TD upside, they got to rely on this man a lot more, and it just is what it is. He's been quite the afterthought the past several weeks. I want to see a lot more target dedication to a Cortland Sutton. I still got him on TD upside in the green. He should find his way into the end zone. Where Pat Bryant, Marvin Mims still dealing with that concussion, so we'll just lean on the side of Bryant, even if Mims does suit up. I'm not necessarily looking to play him either. High-level risk for Bryant and Mims. Where Troy Franklin, mid-level risk for me. He's been playing very well. And lots of kind of why Cortland Sutton has cooled off the past several weeks, because Franklin's ascension is moving in the right direction. Mid-level risk for me, TD upside and big play appeal continues for a Troy Franklin. We're Evan Ingram, low floor in the red, not trusting it this week because this man has continuously burned us all season long. Detroit Lions taking on the Philadelphia Eagles on Sunday Night Football. Jared Goff and company, they are rolling 6-3 on the season. Looked good last week as well. Low-level risk for Jared Goff. They continue to pass the football. Big news, Sam Laporta has been ruled out of this contest with a back injury, so they will go with Brock Wright. That does give us more for not only the run game, but for Jamo Williams. It's going to be a big-time show for target separation for these guys as well. Jared Goff, fire him up. Even though the Eagles' defense is fairly stout and they look good against Jordan Love, this is a different team in Detroit. I do like the play of Jared Goff, man. Jahmyr Gibbs, give me low-level risk. Fire him up. He had a stellar contest, 30-plus points last week. There should be a little bit more reliance on a David Montgomery this week, due in part to those high-end volumes for Gibbs. I do like low-level risk for Gibby, but Monty on the mid-level risk, I'm playing him this week with very strong levels of confidence, Matt. I believe that he's going to find his way into that end zone this week as well. Both backs should have a very strong day. Where Amon-Ra St. Brown continues his pace. 7 boom games, 150 points, where it's a no-brainer. Fire him up. Or J-Mo, TD upside on the mid-level risk. I'm playing J-Mo this week as well. TD upside on the deep shots are there. Secondary in Philadelphia is definitely, still dealing with issues on the back end, but I still like J-Mo, man. Nobody can match his speed. He should have another sound day where Isaac Tesla may get some targets in replacement of a Sam Laporta. We will see. That one, might be a sleeper one, even though I got him on high risk. I just can't trust it, man. You got to have big kahunas to be playing in Isaac Tesla at this point, and Brock Wright, low floor, mid-level risk. Do not like it, man. Green Bay Packers take on the New York Giants. Jordan Love, feeling love for love, not so much these days. This guy's killing me. What is wrong with this offense at this point? Sometimes when you have too many mouths to feed, this everybody eats mentality, just like the Buffalo Bills, Green Bay is a very similar situation where they don't necessarily have that true alpha number one wide receiver. They lost Tucker Kraft as their main target and offensive power punch. Now they looked lost last week. Yes, the Eagles played great defensively, but Jordan Love looks absolutely lost. He's seeing ghosts, can't hit his wide receivers, and these guys are dropping passes like madmen. It is a big problem in Green Bay at this point. They require a true number one wide receiver. Just like the Buffalo Bills argument, the same goes for these Green Bay Packers. You need a true number one guy. At least if these guys didn't drop passes, it could work, but they're dropping passes, not getting open, deep shots not working, timing's not there. I still got good upside in the green for a Jordan Love. It is versus the New York Giants, who can get after the quarterback, but on that secondary, they are prone to giving up big plays. I will trust Jordan Love one more week before I start singing his poor graces. I know a lot of my buddies are like, I'm not trusting him ever again. I understand. I'm going to do it one more week and see where we come out on the end after week number 11. Josh Jacobs has been the only super consistent player, man. Low-level risk. Fire him up. 8 boom games. Should continue to run very well this week as well. Emmanuel Wilson, high-level risk. Matthew Golden, boom and bust for me in the red. He's still dealing with that injury. They said he was off the injury report, but he still got him here as a shoulder. It's just boom or bust for me, man. Either he's catching a deep shot, but he's not catching touchdowns, not necessarily involved overly in this offense. Don't like the play where Romeo, he came off that injury report as well. Mid-level risk, he should have the better day. If we're trusting any of these wide receivers, it is Dobbs this week as well. But Christian Watson, mid-level risk, I do like the play of Watson in my flex also, or wide receiver 3 options, because he should be able to at least get free passes. New York Giants secondary, there is options for him to score touchdowns this week. And Luke Musgrave, he definitely disappointed me last week. I thought this guy was going to be a shoo-in for targets. They just didn't throw to his direction. I just don't understand. PPR floor, mid-level risk until he shows it. Then we can trust it. I thought, with Tucker Kraft gone, it was just going to be a slot-in no-brainer. Apparently, Coach LaFleur doesn't like it, but, pick your poison. You want to start him because you got a feeling, sure, let's go. There is TD upside, but I do caution it this week. Houston Texans taking on Tennessee Titans. What a comeback they had versus those Jacksonville Jaguars. Oh, man, Davis Mills, long neck Mills. Now no C.J. Stroud once again this week with a concussion, mid-level risk for Mills. At least he showcased the fact that he can still scoot that football all over the field. There is a streaming upside play for him versus the Titans defense that has seen better days as well. I don't dislike the play of Mills. There is a safer floor here as well. Nick Chubb, Woody Marks. We got a Woody Chubb, man. Volume floor for Chubb. Mid-level risk. Fire up Woody Marks over Chubb all day long. At this point, he seems to have taken the lead role in this offense. So Marks over Chubb. Chubb still has goal line appeal on the mid-level risk. Where Nico Collins, low risk, fire him up everywhere he got him. This man continues to showcase the fact that he is a baller in this league. Where Christian Kirk, low floor, high-level risk, not trusting it. Where Jaden Higgins continues his ascension up my board. Mid-level risk for me, it is just one of those situations. We can't trust him every single week, but he is starting to move up my board, so I'm going to put him on a mid-level risk this week. Where Dalton Schultz, good upside in the green, first time this season. Now with a Davis Mills, he knows how to force feed the tight end spot, and Schultz has become a better tight end option this week for boom games. Even though he was dealing with a shoulder and sickness, he should be good to go this week in week number 11. Jacksonville Jaguars, like I said, coming off that horrific loss. Trevor Lawrence, sunshine, you did not look good turning that football over. Learn how to win games, Trevor. I don't know what your deal is taking on these LA Chargers. Man, oh man, I think, the story's written. Unless Trevor Lawrence shows something completely different, that he is that generational guy, this is who he is, and we got to trust him for what he's showing us. Mid-level risk taking on Chargers defense that is very stout, man. Khalil Mack and company are coming after the quarterback in big ways, even though Trevor Lawrence has had a good history versus the Chargers. Mid-level risk for me, I would look in other directions. Travis Etienne, mid-level risk as well. I told you I'll bust last week. He boomed. Okay, fine. We don't hit him right every single week. Don't dislike the play of Etienne this week. He should get enough carries to at least warrant volume upside. I got him on mid-level risk. Bayshal Tootin, high-level risk, not touching it. Where Brian Thomas Jr., injury risk, still on that ankle injury. When I was doing this injury report, it didn't suggest that he was going to sit. They said there is a likelihood he could play. So we will see injury risk mid-level for me. But for my money, I'm going Parker Washington. This guy's killing it right now. Punt returns, catching, getting open, and if Brian Thomas does come back, there's going to be a lot of coverage dedicated to Brian Thomas, leaving Parker Washington open that much more. Low-level risk for Parker and a PPR floor for Jacoby Meyers. And I don't think they have to rush a Brian Thomas back at this point, but I mean, we'll see how it does go. Even if he has a decoy on the field, that is big ups against the Chargers defense that can come after everybody. So it is Washington, it is Meyers, then it's Brian Thomas for me this week. Actually, I'm going to flip that. It's going to be Brian Thomas, then Meyers for me if he does suit up and they give him the clearance to go ahead. We're Hunter Long, high-level risk for me, not touching it. The tight ends until Bretton Strange. He is apparently coming back on the 21-day window very soon, so we can get excited about Bretton Strange. Kansas City Chiefs taking on those Denver Broncos. Like I'm saying, Patrick Mahomes and company coming off the bye week. Huge contest, man. This is as big as it gets for the Kansas City Chiefs. We have not seen them in a situation like this where they really desperately require the win to stay at pace in this division, man. If they lose this game, they're basically, you can almost put a fork in them. They're done, that they will not win this division at least. Playoffs are another question, but they will not win this division if the Denver Broncos do beat them in this contest. So it's a massive show. I fully expect Patrick Mahomes to be on his best behavior. Low-level risk, fire him up everywhere you got him. Kareem Hunt, mid-level risk, still without a Isaiah Pacheco. He's running decently enough to make low-end RB2 numbers. I don't dislike the play of Hunt versus Denver defense, still without Patrick Surtain. Where Rashee Rice, low-level risk, fire up this man everywhere you got him. He's just an absolute dynamo. They will force feed him. He will find his way into that end zone again. Even if it's not working, they will manufacture ways to get him the football because he is too good. Hollywood, PPR upside, mid-level risk, flex appeal is here as well. Where Juju, high-level risk, not touching it. Xavier Worthy, mid-level risk. He popped up on the injury report with an ankle as well, so I'm taking Hollywood over Xavier Worthy at this point. There were some questions about Worthy and, what he's doing in his progression, so we'll see how that does shake down. Rice and Hollywood are the receivers I'm trusting this week. We're a low-level risk for Travis Kelce. Swift, we'll see how it does go with Travis Kelce. These games he does get up for, and I do believe he will find his way into that end zone. LA Chargers taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars. Justin Herbert, Herbie. Apparently he had a brother in this league that plays for the Jags, man. I know all the players in the league, and that one was news to me. Okay, you learn something new every day. Low-level risk for Justin Herbert. Yes, he had, 13 points last week. Should see a much better showing versus Jags defense that is improved, but still gives up quite a bit of plays, man. This offense in LA is looking nice, able to move the football on the ground even without Omarion Hampton because it is Kamani Vidal. Low-level risk for Kamani. Fire him up everywhere he got him as well, but this receiving core with Ladd McConkey, he's a good lad. Low-level risk. Fire him up. More dedication to get him the football has been bearing a lot of fruit for us. I do think it continues as well. It's come at the expense of guys like Keenan Allen, where right now he is falling down the board for me. Eventually they will get back to Keenan. I think it is more load management for Keenan than it is, and hope to, to at least get Ladd to be that guy everyone thought he was, because we know what he is, man. But, very much even point totals. 112 for Ladd, 103 for QJ, 103 for Keenan Allen. Like, this is very much distributed properly and evenly amongst the 3 wide receivers. So for me, Ladd is starting to take a step up in the right direction. QJ still has a mid-level risk with TD upside as well, where Keenan Allen right now I'm just not trusting. It's been, I think, 4 weeks. This would suggest that a boom game is coming for Keenan, so if you got the kahunas to play him, there is potential risk-reward here as well, but I do think it is going to be still Ladd McConkey. He's a good lad. Quentin Johnston over a Keenan Allen. Oronde Gadsden, he's no worse for wear. A little bit of a scare. People thought he got a knee-on-knee. Could have been an MCL injury, but he's good to go off the injury report, mid-level risk. I'm only put him down as a mid-level because they might just utilize him as a decoy, as an in-game kind of injury type of play. His day should be okay, but I don't foresee him taking in all the reps that he typically takes overall, man. Los Angeles Rams taking on the Seattle Seahawks, another huge game that I'm looking forward to. Huge divisional showdown. MVP chants are going towards a Matthew Stafford, and rightfully so. This man's playing killer football right now. 6 boom games, low-level risk. Even though the Seahawks defense is so good, this is a true test for the Seahawks defense. I do like what they're doing in Seattle, man. No kidding about it. But I do like Matthew Stafford and what they're able to do. Fire up Matthew Every, got him low-level risk. Where Kyren Williams, like I said, man, going back to the offseason, this guy was just going to be the point total getter for us. Once again, fire him up without any kind of reservation. Puka Nacua, low-level risk. Fire him up. He should have the big day this week because Davante Adams is dealing with that oblique. He tweaked something on his route that he did last week. So for my money, I'm going Puka and Kyren. I could even suggest benching a Davante. They say he's going to play, but again, that decoy role with that injury does scare me. I got him on a mid-level risk. If Davante says he's playing, we got to play him, I understand. But definitely temper those expectations. Don't be disappointed if you only see like 6 or 8 points, because that could definitely be coming with a lot of targets going to Puka Nacua's side. Jordan Whittington, high-level risk, where Tyler Higbee could get in the mix with a hampered Davante Adams. I like the PPR floor on the mid-level for Higbee this week. Now, I haven't said that much this year, but this week we can maybe look in that direction for Higbee. Las Vegas Raiders taking on the Dallas Cowboys. Like I said, Monday Night Football, Geno and company. If this was a get-right game for this offense, I mean, it's like an easy code, cheat code to play against the Dallas Cowboys defense at this point, but Geno just throws interceptions. Geno looks off. Geno looks like he doesn't know what he's doing. I still, you know what, I'm gonna risk it. Good upside in the green for Geno. If he can't do it versus the Cowboys, it's time to cut bait with Geno this offseason and just say we're done with it. Good upside in the green, even though trading away Jacoby Meyers does leave some holes. There are options at the wide receiver spot. Ashton Jeanty, low-level risk. He should have a good day, very sound day. Run the football a lot, open up that play-action pass, and that will inhibit a Geno to have a very strong show. Obviously, Ashton Jeanty, we're firing him up on the low-level risk. Where Raheem Mostert, high-level risk, not touching it. Trey Tucker, PPR upside in the mid-level. I do like the flex play of Trey this week, where Tyler Lockett has been dealing with a knee issue, but he is on the mid-level. You got to throw to somebody, and nobody else is really catching anything. Geno knows Tyler Lockett from the past. He should get at least 6 points again this week. Where Dante Thornton, high-level risk, and Brock Bowers coming off a bust game. He should have a big show versus these Dallas Cowboys. Super boom incoming for a Brock Bowers. Miami Dolphins taking on the Washington Commanders. Commies, they're up in Madrid in Spain. This is going to be the last game, if I'm not mistaken, overseas. Thank God, man. It's enough of these international contests, but these Dolphins, boo! As a Bills fan, what the hell is your problem? You can't just go away and die? Like, I don't understand, but good for you guys. You beat the Buffalo Bills. All credits due to you guys. You played extremely well. Tua Tagovailoa, mid-level risk for me. I don't dislike it versus Commanders, both at 3-7. Commies are definitely on the injured side of things. Excuse me, where Tua Tagovailoa, like I said, he can still be fantasy relevant from time to time in good matchup upside. This is one of these situations where Tua shouldn't be a terrible play, but again, it's Tua. You don't know which one you're getting for better or worse. There are better streaming quarterback options, so that's why I got him on the mid-level risk. Or Devin off the HN. 10 boom games, man. This guy's freaking killing it. What did I say last week? He's like that Marshall Falk, smaller Marshall Falk weapon. This guy's a killer, man. He's so damn good in the open field, in the receiving game. We're obviously playing Achane. He should have another big time. Boom, we're Ollie Gordon not touching it. Jalen Waddle time. He's the only other viable option here. Low-level risk, fire up Jalen everywhere he got him. 7 boom games since Tyreek went down. He's been crushing it. We can trust Jalen Waddle. We're Malik Washington, deeper leagues only. Nick Westbrook, Akine, high-level risk, and Julian Hill not trusting it. We are seeing Darren Waller, potentially 21-day window, opening up very, very soon. Minnesota Vikings taking on Chicago Bears. Big contest for both clubs, like I mentioned. J.J. McCarthy, bounce back, mid-level risk. He did not look great last week. Justin Jefferson did not look great last week. This is one of these contests you got to get up for if you're the Minnesota Vikings. If you have any chance or any hope to make the postseason, you got to have this contest. I expect a very strong bounce back for J.J. McCarthy. He is playable this week for me, even though the Chicago Bears are getting their defensive back Johnson back as well. It is one of those situations that J.J. McCarthy's got to be his best, so I got bounce back mid-level risk. The high-end points may not be here, but I foresee a decent showing, much better than we saw last week. Jordan Mason, mid-level risk. Aaron Jones, low-level risk. Firing up in Aaron Jones over Mason as well. You see the taper off. Everybody was so excited about Jordan Mason. He's not a true 3-down back for the whole season, man. He is a great change of pace runner, but he can't carry the whole damn load. Aaron Jones still can. Low-level risk, fire up Jones everywhere he got him, where Mason would be only flex appeal, goal line upside. Justin Jefferson, bounce back, low-level risk for me. Obviously, we play him every week, but he should absolutely repay us for the bust he gave us last week. And Jordan Addison, Addy, my dude, I put my trust in you last week, and you failed me. I got boom and bust on the mid-level risk. I'm still playing him this week. Where Jalen Naylor, he was the beneficiary of all those Jordan Addison freaking targets that I thought were going to go to him. High-level risk, back to this again. He's not going to do what he did last week. And TJ Hawkinson, TD dependencies continue, mid-level risk. But there is options and potential for him to score. I just don't like how they're using a Hawkinson this week as well. I'm looking in other directions. New York Giants taking on the Green Bay Packers. The national treasure in a Jameis Winston is back because a Jackson Dart is ruled out with that concussion issue. I believe it was a concussion, if I'm not mistaken. But mid-level risk for Jameis Winston. We could get 300 yards, 3 TDs and 5 interceptions from this man. He's just going to sling the football. Yes, the Packers defense looked good versus the Eagles, but they've been up and down all season long. I would not be surprised you see a defensive letdown from the Green Bay Packers as they think they should walk through these New York Giants, especially without Brian Dable, new coaching staff. Giants could be gearing up to go in this one. Jameis Winston, mid-level risk. There is potential upside, but the floor would be very, very low. Tyrone Tracy, Devin Motor, Singletary, low floor for both gentlemen. I got mid-level risk for Tracy, low floor on the red for a Singletary. Don't like either or for this running back room like I haven't most of the season. As soon as Scattaboo went out with that injury, it's just not looking good, man. Where Wan'Dale Robinson is the only beneficiary. PPR upside even in garbage time productivity coming from a Jameis Winston. We could play Wan'Dale or Gunnar or Lerski. We're not playing him anyway. Why am I even trying to say your name? And Jalen Hyatt, high-level risk. And then Theo Johnson, TD floor, mid-level risk for me. We can play Theo this week as well, even though I do foresee a floor that is going to be relatively low. Philadelphia Eagles taking on the Detroit Lions. Sunday Night Football. Okay, this offense did not look great for the Eagles last week. We saw A.J. Brown telling everybody, you own me in fantasy, trade me away because I'm useless. He's not lying. I mean, it's factual information. The Eagles definitely just lulling their way through the season, trying to get into the postseason. Saquon's not running as strong as he did last year. Definitely not the same type of a high-end octane offense we saw last season. It's going to rebound. This is a big contest, man. These guys get up for these types of shows, man, especially in prime time. Jalen Hurts, low-level risk. Fire him up everywhere he got him. Even though it was a big one versus the Packers last week, I do like more offensive output this week as well. Fire up Jalen everywhere he got him. Saquon needs to be rushing the ball better. I don't know what's changed. Madden curse in the house for Saquon, but he should definitely get above that boom threshold. We're obviously playing Saquon everywhere he got him. TD upside on the mid-level for A.J. Brown. When he always complains like he does, they start to give him the football. A.J. Brown should score a touchdown this week. I would not be surprised, but it is play at your own risk. I'm not going to endorse it whatsoever because it's too damn hard to trust. Play at your own risk, but TD upside on the mid-level does exist. But Devontae Smith, Smitty, low-level risk, fire him up. He's been the most consistent wide receiver. And Dallas Goedert, mid-level risk. He should get back to good basics with good PPR floors coming in his direction. I do like the play of a Dallas Goedert. Pittsburgh Steelers taking on Cincinnati Bengals. Low-level risk for Aaron Rodgers as they continue to move forward, hoping to keep pace to be the leaders in this division. Huge contest for the Steelers. They got to figure this thing out in the biggest of ways, and what other way than to play a Cincinnati Bengals defense that still is meek overall, man. Low-level risk for Aaron Rodgers. They will figure it out eventually, but he's, complaining far too much on that field, always blaming everybody. You missed so many passes last week, Aaron. Maybe look in the mirror and see where you're dishing the football, but I do like the play of Aaron Rodgers this week. Should bring with it good upside. Jaylen Warren, low-level risk, fire him up. Coach is saying we got to get more involved on the third downs. I love the play of Warren this week. He should have a big contest. Where DK Metcalf, I'm going to sit here and say low-level risk. Been 3 weeks since he's been necessarily involved on bigger levels. This is why I say Aaron Rodgers is a low level, because he should find a DK on more than one occasion. Calvin Austin goes up to a mid-level risk, had a couple drops last week. Not trusting it for the playing. I just think his stat line might be on the mid-level. Where Pat Freiermuth, the Moot, TD upside, mid-level risk. I do like Pat Freiermuth play this week. TD upside should be here. I'll be shocked if this man does not find his way into the end zone versus those Cincinnati Bengals. And Jonnu Smith, I'm not touching it. I like Pat Freiermuth much better this week. San Francisco 49ers taking on the Arizona Cardinals. Brock Purdy, if he's feeling Purdy, I didn't see him on the injury report. He should be good to go. Mid-level risk. He should shake off a little bit of rust. But, he should be at least enough to dissect the field on this Cardinals defense that is better than a lot of people give him credit for. But Brock Purdy's going to figure this thing out by around quarter 2. They're going to utilize Christian McCaffrey quite a bit. I'm not going to play Purdy this week. I'm just going to caution him on a mid-level risk. I want to see what he does. Shake off that rust. Maybe we'll see how he does, circulate the football to all of his playmakers. Where CMC, low-level risk with Brock Purdy, is just that much better. Even though Mac Money Jones, he was good enough to move this offense. With Purdy, it could be that much better for CMC. Fire up, obviously, CMC everywhere he got him. Brian Robinson, B-Rob, volume floor 2 boom games for this man. Had himself 11 points last week. Is good, man. Volume floor on the red. Not trusting it for fantasy football starts, but at least he is starting to get more sprinkles, and there is potential that we could utilize him in the flex down the stretch. Where Juwan Jennings, mid-level risk, fire him up everywhere you got him. Kendrick Bourne, low floor, high-level risk, not touching it. And Ricky Pearsall is going to likely suiting up in this contest, coming off that knee injury. Mid-level risk for Ricky. I like Jennings over Ricky this week as well, but this will bring all the options back for these 49ers on the offensive side, which opens up everything for everyone else, including the people's tight end, George Kittle. Fire up George, low-level risk everywhere you got him. He should be the focal point with a Jennings and CMC this week. Seattle Seahawks taking on those LA Rams. Like I said, huge show, man. And I don't know what it is with these Hawks. They just get out to these incredible leads super early. And I don't know what the hell Sam Darnold was doing. You were up, 35-7, and you ended up throwing like 3 interceptions or whatever it was. What are you doing, dude? You just got to close out the game. But this week, we should see a better show from Sam Darnold. Low-level risk in a huge divisional show. Fire him up everywhere he got him. The biggest problem we got is his backfield like last week, man. Kenny Walker, the third, K9, and Zach Charbonnet. TD upside again continues. We got to go with what we know. How can we trust it otherwise? They show us, we have to believe it, man. Kenneth Walker is truly stellar in elite status. They're just not using him properly. When the third running back, Helani, is getting touches over K9, what are you saving K9 for? The playoff push? Maybe. I get it. I understand. You're worried about his trips to the medical room. But, man, this is getting absurd. You're not even using K9 whatsoever, especially when they get inside the 10-yard line. This is Zach Charbonnet opportunity. So mid-level risk for K9, 7 to, maybe 10 points coming your way. Potentially, Zach Charbonnet TD upside is definitely here for him if they are in that red zone. So right now we got to say Charbonnet over a Kenneth Walker at this point, even though K9 eventually will break out. And this should be the game that they use him and force feed him. I just can't endorse it this week because we got to listen to what they're telling us. What they're saying is they don't care who the running back is. They're going to spread the football around. Jack Smith to Jigba, JSN, low-level risk. Fire him up, obviously, 9 boom games. This man catches 20-yard passes like it's nothing, and you've just been a killer. League leader in receiving yards, if I'm not mistaken. But Cooper Kupp, revenge game in the house, baby. It was cup half empty all season long. This is the game where it's cup half full because I do love me some revenge games. And they're talking, there's like, oh, they're going to give you a tribute. He's like, I ain't dead. I'm still here. Like, okay, I'll like the tribute, but come on. He's going to be fired up, man. I totally foresee a peppering of targets. If the Seattle Seahawks don't pepper Cooper Kupp, I will be absolutely shocked, man, if it does not happen. I'm playing Kupp everywhere we got him because I love me some revenge games. Rashid Shaheed, boomer bust on the mid-level. Like I said last week, it was going to be one of those situations. If you play Rashid, you got to know that bust is coming, man, because he was only there for, not even a week, and he was just going to run 9 routes. So this week on the mid-level, probably got a little bit more exposed to that playbook, even though he's familiar with it, coming from the similar system anyway. But, I mean, boomer bust mid-level, I like Kupp and JSN over Rashid Shaheed this week, where A.J. Barner, low floor, now that it could be Kupp day, I'm going to say sit in A.J. Barner also this week. Tampa Bay Buccaneers taking on my Buffalo Bills. Bake Show. They had some good banter back and forth between him and Josh Allen this week. Low-level risk, fire up Baker ever we got him. Still no Bucky Irving. Still no Chris Godwin. We know Baker's going to come up for this one. Would they lose 2 in a row? There's no way in hell that they're not going to gear up for this one in Buffalo. Could be some weather as well in Buffalo Stadium. But I do like Baker this week, as they do have reliable options, and the Bills' defense is hampered with injuries. Rachaad White, volume upside, PPR upside definitely does exist here. 2, lukewarm games for Rachaad White. I do foresee a better show this week as well. Where Sean Tucker, I'm still not trusting at high-level risk. Emeka Egbuka, low-level risk, fire him up. The Bills should have their hands full with an Egbuka this week as well. Sterling Shepard, high-level risk, because Tez Johnson has been that dude. TD upside mid-level risk continues. His speed is daunting, and it will give the Buffalo Bills fits this week. They should find ways to get Tez the football. And Cade Otton, PPR upside in the green. I do like the play of Cade this week. He should get peppered a lot from a Baker Mayfield. Tennessee Titans, basically everybody on this team, I will not start this week. Basically what I'm saying. High-level risk for Cam Ward. Tony Pollard, volume floor, mid-level risk. Don't like it. Tajay Spears, low floor, mid-level risk. Don't like it, man. Chimray, DK, mid-level risk. There may be potential touchdown upside here early on, but this Houston Texans defense still is very good. They had a lapse for about 3 quarters versus those Jacksonville Jaguars. They should not have that lapse versus these Titans this week. Mid-level risk for Chimray, where A.O. Maynard, low floor for me. So if I'm picking anybody to play, it's Pollard and DK, but I do not like it either. Calvin Ridley, injury risk. Maybe we see him this week. Maybe we don't. I don't know, but I can't play it either until he finds his way on the field. And high-level risk for a Chig Okonkwo. I don't like players that don't score points, man, and Chig is definitely one of those guys. Finish this thing off with the Washington Commanders. He's taking on those Miami Dolphins, like I said, in Spain. Marcus Mariota, mid-level risk. Does enough, at least with rushing upside. It's just now still no Terry McLaurin. You lost Luke McCaffrey. It's just not a good sight, man. The Commies definitely are dealing with so many injuries. It's very difficult for them to move the football, but mid-level risk for Mariota. You could do a lot worse. If you are stuck at quarterback and you need one, Mariota over, say, somebody like Tua, yeah, okay, I'm good with it. Where JCM, the experiment, at this point, we got to say it's failed, man. And I was not shocked at all. All these pundits being like, JCM, he's going to be a lead volume back. He's a good talent. He's not a lead back. He requires somebody to spell him all the time. Low floor for me. I'm not touching it, even versus the Miami Dolphins defense, who is improving, by the way, statistically speaking. So I don't like JCM this week as well. If you like him, you go ahead and play him this week. Where Jeremy McNichols, PBR floor on the red continues. Where Debo, mid-level risk. I'll play Debo this week because in some leagues I don't have a choice, but I don't dislike it, man. You got to force feed him, Mariota. What are you doing? This is your number one option. Quit it with that damn jet sweep already unless it scores touchdowns. I don't like it. But Debo's definitely lackadaisical over what he has been so far early on this season. Where Jalen Lane, Chris Moore, not touching it, high-level risk. Zach Ertz, we're playing this week. TD upside on the mid-level. Should have a better show than what he did last week. But there you have it. That is week number 11. Start sit. Lineup advice. I got you covered. Drop all your questions in those comments. I will always get back to all y'all because we got to get those dubs. We roll together, man. That's what this community does because we're going to hoist those trophies together. Believe you me, when it comes down to it, we're going to be all smiling and popping that champagne. There is no question, but nevertheless, as always, don't forget that like button, hit that subscribe button, jump in those comments, give me your thoughts, and we'll see you next time. I am out.